In the upper Sandy River, major flooding since 1964 has meant that living along the river puts people in the path of incidents that can eat away at the river's banks, eroding the foundations of homes, and putting bridges, roads, and infrastructure at risk. The traditional way of controlling the river was to create a channel by bulldozing up the banks, creating levees to hold the river in place. But the unintended consequences of levee building were to cut off important wild fish habitat and actually increase the risk of flooding. The Sandy Salmon Floodplain Reconnection Project is undoing ecological damage from historic levee building where the salmon and sandy rivers come together.
This is a levee that was constructed from river material. It was pushed up to reduce flood risk in the area. We are embarking on a floodplain restoration project this summer, downstream from the confluence of the Sandy and Salmon rivers, improving fish habitat in the area, but also reducing flood risk to the local communities. We are going to be breaching the levee in 2 locations and opening up 418 acres of historic floodplain channels. One of the goals of this project is to increase community resiliency to flooding risk. We've worked with a lot of local landowners throughout the planning process to ensure that they feel like their voice is being heard within this project and that their needs and concerns are being addressed.
Fish habitat's a real high priority. We had the 95 flood and then the 1996 flood. And what the river had done upstream here is actually jumped the elevation of the levee. I knew eventually that was going to happen again without any of the engineering, without any of the design and detail that was put into this ongoing project now. So I'm really strongly supportive both for fisheries and infrastructure protection.
So this is our upstream Levee Breach. We are going to be adding in a large log jam structure to stabilize the banks in this location. Once it's been open, the water will then be able to flow into the side channels and floodplain habitat that we're opening up, and then exit down at our lower breach site. The material that we're going to be taking out of the levee, we're going to be returning back into the system. Because the levee was built from river material, we're able to use it in all aspects of our project. We've built a massive log jam right along Barlow Road, and the purpose of that jam is really to protect that stretch of road from major flood events and storm events. As water comes into the historic side channels, we wanted to place that jam in a position that as water is rushing in, it doesn't scour and eat away at the road. Rather, it's going to hit that log jam, gather material as it's coming in, and slow down the river as it makes its way to our lower Levee Breach.
Currently, we're just clearing a path to get up on top of the levee. Our crew's just making an inroad into the levee itself. We have to clear these trees, and then we will start excavating in layers, removing the rock into trucks back to the shaker. We're protecting the larger trees that have root wads cemented strategically in place by large boulders. These log jams and these structures help manage the flow and reduce the velocity. As we go through here, we'll be collecting the larger boulders for use in our structure, and then the rest will be taken to the shaker and put in different areas on site.
One of the biggest challenges we faced in this project was the amount of material we generated through our levee breaches, the levee regrading and reshaping, and the excavating of our floodplain channel. Really high quality material, but we just generated more than we could use back within the project. So we were really fortunate to have partnered with several folks in the area looking for these materials for their own projects. Those partnerships helped reduce the cost of the project because we would have had to haul that material off-site and take it to a landfill or something similar where that material would just sit.
Now that the construction phase has been completed, the Sandy River Watershed Council will be planting 5,000 native plants, shrubs, and trees that are adapted to environmental and climatic conditions of the project area. Through active on-site monitoring and stewardship, the Council will ensure that the native forest regrows in impacted areas. The Sandy Salmon Floodplain is now ready to resume its place in the chain of healthy habitats that have brought wild fish to and from these rivers since time immemorial and will continue to do so into the future.
If it keeps on raining, the levee's going to break. If it keeps on raining, the levee's going to break. When the levee breaks, have no place to stay.